Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. We are going to take a look at the astrological energies from December 17th until December 19th, as we are fully in the midst of strong Sagittarius energies. And as of today, December 17th, Mercury clears the post-retrograde shadow. Yes, this means that now Mercury is done covering that retrograde territory in your chart and is moving ahead to 8 degrees of Sagittarius and beyond, opening up fresh ideas, greater clarity, solutions, directions, strong communications, and perhaps even feeling that things are lightening up in some areas of your world. Mercury rules not only what we think, say, ponder, and consider, but Mercury in the fire sign of Sagittarius wants to know more, wants to learn more, wants to expand and grow into new understandings. This would be a healthy expression of Mercury in Sagittarius. So this would be a good time period to stay open to new information and understandings that the universe is probably delivering to you for a reason. It's exactly what you haven't considered or thought about before that could show you a higher pathway and a new direction that is waiting for you and expanding open now. It could be very welcomed, especially after the intensity of that Mercury retrograde journey that took us back into the Scorpio depths. Well, now that Mercury moves ahead in Sagittarius until the end of this year, the universe is going to be revealing to you some new inspired directions forward that could feel very encouraging, exciting, and unfamiliar. Now, Mercury is known for being in his detriment in Sagittarius, and that's because he becomes a very big thinker who misses the details. So it will be essential to review the facts, terms and conditions, specific notes, all those things that can be easy to overlook because the enthusiasm of moving forward is so strong. But that uplifting Sagittarius energy is very strong right now, considering we have multiple planets in Sagittarius. Not only is Mercury here in the 9th sign of the zodiac, but we also have Venus, Juno, and the Sun all moving through the 3rd decan of Sagittarius as well. We are approaching that Sagittarius New Moon on December 19th, and I do have separate videos for you on YouTube discussing the significant energetics of this new moon. So I'm not going to go into too much of that here in today's podcast, but just know that it is conjunct the Galactic Center. It's bringing in some very powerful evolutionary frequencies that are propelling us forward, especially because the Sagittarius New Moon is occurring as the interstellar object 3i Atlas makes its closest pass to Earth. So we have a lot going on right now in the cosmos that we are certainly feeling, and we're learning how to integrate it as well as work with it as part of our ascension cycle. So that is definitely in the collective field at this time. Now, as we approach that Sagittarius New Moon, the Sun and Juno in Sagittarius are both moving between a square to Saturn in Pisces and a square to Neptune in Pisces, which will be exact right after the new moon on December 20th. So the Sun in Sagittarius is actually feeling some of its typical enthusiasm, drive, and optimism dissolving and lessening this week. There could be something that you feel you're now doubting or you feel discouraged. There could be a setback around what you had expected or assumed. There could be something here that is sinking your energy, but you're learning to navigate it and try to maintain consistency, which can be difficult when we have very strong mutable signs. But I'm feeling like part of the energy right now with this square between the planets in Sagittarius and in Pisces is that, first of all, this is the very last time in our lives that the Sun in Sagittarius is squaring this Neptune in Pisces. So there's something here we are meant to truly surrender and let go of, that we've become overly invested in, that might be too much or too big. And part of that letting go through that Neptune in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces energy field is in stepping back and just remembering that the universe has multiple solutions, multiple options, multiple ways that what you desire to create an experience can manifest and come about. Sometimes that Sagittarius energy can become overly fixated on, this is how it has to look. This would be the best possible outcome that I can imagine. And the universe is saying, will you let me imagine something better for you? Will you detach and step back just a bit, removing what you have visualized, and allow some other pieces or other components to show up and come through, especially with the energy of divine timing here, that perhaps can upgrade you, improve this, up-level what you think is the best case scenario or development, and maybe there's something even better waiting in the wings, waiting behind the scenes that you can't see yet, that's going to present itself and come forth. And so this is where we are learning to manage and recalibrate the idealism of both Sagittarius and Pisces energy with greater detachment, where you could see it as possibilities. Okay, this could be option 1. This could be option 2. This could be option 3. Basically expand your awareness and your consciousness so that you're not letting go of what you want because you're not surrendering that desire, that dream, that next step. You're not surrendering it. Rather, you're being very wise around working with these cosmic forces right now and understanding there's a lot up in the air. This means it can get better. This means something can improve. This means I could have version 2.0 or 6.0. This means there's even more working behind the scenes to support me in this new dream, new vision, new endeavor, or to upgrade current circumstances. And this means I can step back and let the universe work its magic just a little bit more without being in rigid expectations of what it should be. So that would be one of the best ways to work with whatever you're moving through right now, that again, it could feel that it's been difficult, depressing, discouraging, uncertain, you've lost hope, you've given up, whatever those lower feelings might be. You could shift your belief and your consciousness to a place of being in a stronger partnership with these cosmic forces and reassert that everything is working in your highest and best way now. Everything is unfolding for my highest and best good now. Everything is coming together in the most beautiful, divine, unexpected ways, and I am willing to be delighted by how it unfolds. And so I hope that helps you navigate through this current terrain with these intense squares between Sagittarius and Pisces planets. Now on December 18th, Venus in Sagittarius is going to trine Chiron retrograde in Aries at 22 degrees. This is a very healing energy. This is very much about what do you need to lift yourself up, trust your own path, and also feel that what you've been healing, discovering, and loving about yourself is being seen by the universe and could be validated in some form here on December 18th. And so this transit, along with all the other planets in Sagittarius, reminded me of a quote from one of my favorite philosophers. So I'm going to go into some Sagittarius energies here now, because Sagittarius is about ideology, theories, philosophies, worldviews, and the bigger ideas we subscribe to that form our perceptions of the world at large, including ourselves in it. And so Sagittarius is meant to give us new perspectives that we consider, sit with, and determine if it resonates. And so one of my favorite individuals in this area is Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who was a French philosopher, paleontologist, theologian, and Jesuit priest. His theories and ideologies were very ahead of his time as he studied and shared his ideas the very beginning of the 20th century. As one of his main theories was about reconciling Christianity with the scientific theory of evolution, and he believed that science and religion describe the same reality from different angles. He also believed that science and spirituality were not opposites, that evolution is how divine intelligence expresses itself. He saw humans as becoming more conscious individuals intentionally, that evolution has meaning, it's not just random, and he described something that he called the new sphere, NOO sphere, that was a collective human thought and awareness field around the earth, like a mental atmosphere and a spiritual atmosphere around the earth that represented collective human thought and ideas, as well as collective human heart energy. Okay, so this was over 100 years ago. This was how he was interpreting energy and consciousness on the planet. And he saw humanity continuing to increase in consciousness that would culminate in what he called the Omega Point. And the Omega Point was an ultimate state of unity with God. And his main writings, his main points were actually published after he died. They were published in 1955, called The Phenomenon of Man. But this is where he shared his influential concepts of the new sphere, which described collective human consciousness and progress. So over 100 years ago, his ideology and worldview was that every individual is contributing to the universe becoming more alive and more evolving. And then that also contributes to humanity's consciousness, that it's an ongoing dialogue of energy that affects the whole. And he took these ideas to move them beyond religion. Certainly a forerunner in consciousness, ideology, and human awakening. And he also believed that evolution towards the Omega Point is where individuals remain individuals, but our consciousness becomes more highly developed and we are more unified in our individuality, meaning allowing ourselves to be individuals while also connected to the whole. He also saw that love is a big part of the evolutionary force. That love is not just emotional, but it's about how it brings our consciousness together, how it creates higher levels of connection and unity. And he believed in the power of love as a driving force of collective consciousness and what humans could experience together and actively co-create in order to expand our consciousness and our unity field. And here's one of my favorite quotes ever, and it's from him. Someday, after mastering the winds, the waves, the tides, and gravity, we shall harness for God the energies of love, and then, for a second time in the history of the world, man will have discovered fire. So here we are in the fiery discovery season of Sagittarius, Venus trining Chiron in fire signs, approaching a new moon in the fire sign of Sagittarius, where love is expansive, galactic, cosmic, enduring, passionate, and perhaps even one of the driving forces of why we take a human body in the first place. But we can become so detached from those energies to the point where maybe we forget what it's all about. And this could be a time period when you are remembering more of what you're here to experience and create in this lifetime as it relates to love. And in that quote, he talks about a focus on physical mastery, mastering the winds, the waves, the tides, the gravity, the natural forces. But then we remember the next breakthrough isn't about simply the earth or the physical world in any way. It's about love as an alignment with a higher consciousness, with a higher divine order. And how to harness love means to be very intentional with that investment and that focus. And then he says, for a second time, man will have discovered fire. Well, the first discovery of fire was about human survival, warmth, cooking, gathering. But the second discovery of fire is more evolutionary, more intentional around now that my needs are met, or now that I'm able to survive on the planet, what kind of love do I want to create and experience that not only benefits me, but benefits the collective and supports the future of humanity? And so it's a beautiful quote because it also reminds us that we're not just here to be in the physical world or to be in survival, but to look at how are we driving our energy forward intentionally from a place of consciousness, wisdom, connection, and emotions that humans are designed to embody, experience, and share. And I just feel this is such a strong energy right now when I look at the astrology of this week, that it's a powerful time to realign your consciousness with something that takes you further and higher, that's not only in alignment with your soul growth and your own soul mission in this lifetime, but it could even help you remember why you took a human body in the first place and what you're here to deeply enjoy and love about this adventure of life. And you take that perspective then and bring it into contrast with artificial intelligence and technology and all these things that are coming in here that are showing us turning points in the human experience, the various crisis points we're at. And I feel that this is a good time to use this Sagittarius season and this very strong Sagittarius New Moon to ask yourself some true questions around what this lifetime means to you, and to see it from a cosmic perspective, a bigger galactic picture, that humans are moving into a whole new era of experiences that are coming in rapidly, perhaps even too fast some days. But what do you continue to trust and follow as your own guiding arrow, which is the glyph of Sagittarius? Where you're going next, what calls to you, what aligns for you, what inspires you. And this could also be a beautiful time to ask your guides, angels, counsel, support system for that reassurance or messages or whatever you may need right now, so that it is delivered into your consciousness as a grounded, clear reminder of why you're here. Now, thankfully, amongst all this strong mutable energy, we have strong, determined Mars in Capricorn now, marching ahead, taking control on a mission. This Mars is very strong in Capricorn, where he's exalted, and there could be a sense of you're ready to step into a whole new level of life ownership. You could have a sense of what you want now, what is worth your time, energy, and effort. This Mars gets things done and moves ahead with his goals and his priorities. And this Mars is in the opposite side of your chart from where he was at the beginning of the year. Because if you'll recall, we had that Mars retrograde in Cancer that started the year. And Mars was in Cancer until about the middle of April of this year. Now Mars is on the other side of your chart. He means business. He is determined, direct, focused, and industrious. You might have clarity on where you're ready to invest your time. This Mars is perseverant, resilient, strategic, ambitious. So really a great way to look at what you want in the new year, what you want to move towards, what you want to create, what matters to you. And you could feel quite strong with this Mars in Capricorn. Of course, it depends on everyone's chart and the energies that you work with. But here we have a part of ourselves that's ready to be productive and get some things done. So this actually coincides very nicely with Mercury now in that post-retrograde freedom, moving ahead. Mars is also making some moves, and I hope this brings about clear goals, determined, inspired planning, and some well-deserved progress as we close out 2025 and move into the new year here in just a few weeks. So even though we have very strong mutable energy with many planets and points in the mutable signs, this Mars in Capricorn is going to show you what is worth directing your energy towards. And you'll probably feel a steadfast energy around that, especially as he's newly in Capricorn. Now, coming up on Sunday, December 21st, the sun will enter into Capricorn. This is the Capricorn solstice, always a still point of the year. And I'll be discussing more about that on Friday's podcast episode, where we'll also look at the energetics of the solstice and what is currently unfolding in the weekend astrology. So as many of you know, as I've shared, the format for the podcast has changed. I'm now releasing episodes Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. These are shorter episodes designed to be more digestible, as well as to go a little bit deeper into the astrology aspects of this time. And that's because there's so many of them, and I wanted to give you more to connect with and be conscious of as we navigate this very important time in the decade and in this year. So as always, it is a joy to connect with you. Thank you for being here. I do have more videos for you on YouTube discussing the Sagittarius New Moon, as well as these incoming galactic frequencies that are arriving over the weekend. So please check those videos out if they call to you. Otherwise, I'll be back on Friday with a new episode for you. Wishing you a beautiful journey here through the middle of the week, and I'll see you back here soon.